Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
See, JR is trying to contain Jim Ross.
McFlurry,
It's Mick Foley. Definitely not his, the barn burner that Leif Cassidy and Tiger Ellie Singh was, but, we'll leave that there.
We digress.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep. You may know him as the Red Rooster.
Hager kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Zelina Vega on a pole match for that to be the...
It is in the mail, my good sir. Oh, it wasn't Paul.
Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely.
And then you can listen to us, too. We're off to a rough start.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Tim Kirk.
And I'm Roland Pulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And today's topic is Royal Rumble 2000. It is officially Royal Rumble season.
Yeah, like I said last week, I think I might have mentioned it towards the end of our show. For me, the Rumble is the next most exciting pay-per-view from WrestleMania. Just the Rumble. I mean, you could do just a Rumble match for like a 1 hour special and people would go friggin' nuts for it. So just that match alone is worth its weight in gold.
It's always been one of my favorite matches. It's one of the ones I look forward to every year. I don't care if it has crappy storylines building up to it. I don't care if it's got a really bad card. I always pop for the Royal Rumble match. It's always one of my favorite matches because it's just chaos and returns and fun spots. And, now we have, as in the future, we have the Kofi spots and the different athleticism. So there's always something entertaining by the Rumble. And I'm looking forward to the Rumble next Sunday, especially since there's the women's and the men's Rumble. So it's like we get 60 people, so we get 2 Rumbles. So it's win-win.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. The Royal Rumble is probably my favorite match of the year. Probably like Roland's second pay-per-view behind WrestleMania. So looking forward to dissecting Royal Rumble 2000. 21 years ago this took place. Hard to believe.
It's been a long time, and it's funny to see some of the faces in this match. The people that come out in the Rumble match, and you kind of forget about some of the people until you go back and watch some of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even just, I know we're going to get into it. I won't say names, but some of the, like you said, some of the names you see, like, oh, I forgot this person was even a wrestler. And it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, that gimmick. So it's going to be interesting dissecting this one for sure.
So let's get right into it. We have 6 total matches to discuss. We open up the show with Kurt Angle against a mystery opponent. That mystery opponent ends up being the debuting Taz. And this was a match, 3 minutes and 15 seconds of basically just suplexes.
It was the Brock Lesnar match before Brock Lesnar was a thing.
Yep.
Like before he had come back to be come out and be the guy that just throws people around. That's pretty much like you said. It was like 3 minutes of suplexes and then an illegal choke that made for a neat storyline later on in the pay-per-view, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say they definitely tried to keep getting that's an illegal chokehold over to try to really build Taz up. Is this, he had just come from ECW. It was the biggest non-surprise too. I mean, there were signs in the crowd saying Taz. They were literally chanting, "We want Taz" when Kurt Angle's cutting his promo. So it's like we all knew Taz was coming out. Even watching it back then, I'm like, I don't know who this Taz person is, but he's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of sad because that's probably the biggest push that Taz got in the WWE was his debut. He didn't get to much greater heights than this.
Well, and some of it was injury related too. I mean, it's unfortunate. They've always, and it's something they do today. They always end up doing this, like the roller coaster of like, we're going to push him. And then the next day Vince is like, I don't like his hair. He's done. And it's like, okay, cool story. Thanks guys. Guys like Cesaro, guys like Ziggler, guys have been there forever that like get a little bit of a push and then mediocrity, a little bit of a push and then mediocrity. There's rumors that Aleister Black's supposed to have this big push when he comes back. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I agree. The roller coaster is the best analogy because I used to always joke that Vince likes to push them down a hill. So they roll down a hill, they go back up a hill and down a hill, and short of major stars getting injured, I feel like certain people just don't get a push, which is sad. I mean, this is the beginning of the Triple H push in this Rumble because of all the injuries that were happening around this time.
And just a quick sidebar, you mentioned Cesaro. Hopefully, it seems like he's getting a little bit of a push now. He's got back-to-back wins on SmackDown against Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler, 2 world champions. So hopefully that this is a push that they'll continue for a while and not just kind of stop it after a couple weeks.
Well, it would be nice if they keep pushing Shinsuke too. I mean, I feel like he had a lot of momentum when he came from NXT, and Vince, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because there's a bit of a language barrier or whatnot, but like Vince seemed to be kind of high on him and then just lost every, I mean, he faced AJ Styles at WrestleMania. He won the Rumble a couple years ago, and they had a hell of a match. They had a hell of a whole program. And then after that, it's been just for Shinsuke since. So I don't know. Cesaro's in that same boat. Hopefully, it'd be nice for new people to be on TV doing, even if they're not new, but in new positions to prove what they can do.
I agree. It's crazy. It's, we're talking about a Rumble from 21 years ago, but it's the same problems that we're facing today with, you have all these people, like Taz and Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is a red hot heel at this point, and I'm glad he got the push he deserved because Kurt Angle, as we all know, is the Hall of Famer. And then you have Taz, who had so much potential coming from ECW. I didn't know much about Taz. I was like Tim. I didn't watch a lot of ECW, so I only kind of knew what I saw and what I've seen nowadays. But he had potential even to be like the Intercontinental Champion tech, that mid-carder that kind of held down that mid-card spot. He didn't even really get that push, and like you said, because of injuries. So it's crazy how Vince just likes to repeat history, even if it's not good history.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the first ever tag team tables match. And the rules for this, you had to put both the opponents through the tables with an offensive maneuver, as JR and Jerry Lawler reminded us about 100 times during the match. It's the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys here. Lots of crazy spots here. There's a couple of spots off the balcony. The Hardy Boys ultimately get the win, but this was a pretty intense match, only 10 minutes long, but it was a lot of action in this one.
And not to be confused with the Hardy Bros, it was the Hardy Boys. It was not Riddle and Jeff Hardy. It wasn't Matt and Jeff. But yeah, no, this was
pending.
Yeah, right, exactly. This was. I'm just glad they went away from the stupid bro nuts thing. Whatever. But getting back to this, this match was really one of the matches I think that defined that the Hardys were there to stay too, because they were able to put up a great match against a team that comes from that environment, came from ECW. And I don't know if you guys caught this, but there was that spot in the entranceway when they stacked up all the tables. Why was somebody helping Bubba stand tables up that wasn't Devon? There was some guy back there just like stacking table. It's like, well, who the hell are you? Like, you're not in this match. Like, I had to rewind it. I'm like, there's a dude back there standing tables up. It was weird. I was like, you're not Devon, you're not Spike, you're not any of these Dudley. Like, who the hell are you? I mean, maybe it was some Dudley brother I didn't know about hiding out. And it was in New York, so you never know. But this definitely solidified the Hardys as a big time player in the tag team division.
No, I agree, because I mean, this is coming off No Mercy a few months prior with the Terry Invitational Tournament, or the Tit, as they called it, and her nice little cameo backstage. And I agree with Roland. This match definitely solidified him, because that ladder match was like, holy crap. And then now they're doing a table match, and there were so many chair shots to the head in this. And it was just, it was definitely an ECW style match that the Dudley Boys are bringing. And I also did notice that random guy helping with the tables too, and was chuckling. And I also want to know if that fan's okay that totally took a shot to the face when Jeff was jumping off a ladder and kicked him right in the head. Like, there was this random fan with a sign that just got kicked. And I'm just thinking, that must suck. You pay all this money to get right on the ramp at the Royal Rumble, and you get kicked in the damn face of second match in.
It's like when you're sitting too close to like any sporting event, you're in danger, but you don't really realize it till you finally get kicked in the head.
Right.
Yeah. Before we continue with the matches, we do have to talk about a swimsuit contest that took place.
I mean, we don't have to. It's not on our thing, but we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have BB, you have Jacqueline, you have Terry, you have Miss Kitty, or the cat. I think she was here. But my favorite part about this whole thing was the group of judges that they had.
Most random group ever.
I mean, you had a bunch of you had Classy Freddie Blassie, you had Johnny Valiant, Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, it was just really comical. And of course,
Fabulous Moolah,
Andy Richter from the Conan O'Brien show. Tony Gurria was there, and then Jerry Lawler's hosting it. And of course, we all know who wins. It's Mae Young, because she has to enter all of these things. But it was just kind of a funny comedy bit in the Royal Rumble.
Well, and you figure they set this up so that way Mae Young could win with all the judges being pretty much the same age as her.
Yeah.
And clearly must be blind too, because I was scarred for life from this thing. I just want to point that out. I watched this live on pay-per-view back in the day. Thank God it's censored on the network now. It was not censored live. That I know it was a bodysuit. I know it really wasn't her looking back. But the fact that they presented it as she got topless was the most disturbing, disgusting. And it's not that she's old. It's just they purposely made it hideous to gross you out. And that brought back memories. I had a hard time watching this again because all I remember is Roland and I talking to school the next day about how both of us went to gouge our eyeballs out with spoons after watching that.
And to be fair, we could have skipped over this, but because Tim is a consummate professional, we had to discuss this.
Yes, of course.
Thanks for bringing up old wounds, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I like how Jerry Lawler hated it, but yet he kept bringing it up throughout the night.
Yeah. We'll get back to the actual wrestling now. We have a triple threat match for the Undisputed Intercontinental Championship. Storyline here is Chris Jericho and Chyna both have the belt, and then Hardcore Holly is just thrown in here. We have this match took place in 7.5 minutes. Chris Jericho gets the win after Lion Salt over Chyna.
Yeah, there wasn't much to write home about in this match. I mean, there was a couple of decent spots and everything, but for everything that Chyna did for the business, for showing that women can compete with men, it's cool. But after a while, you get tired of seeing it, I think. And I think it had kind of run its course a little bit. Even the fans, they were behind Jericho, and that was pretty much it. Like no one cared about Bob Holly. No one cared about Chyna at that point. And it had been done. I mean, she was in the Rumble the year before. She's in the Rumble this year. Spoiler. But it just, I think at this point, it's cool when you do it every now and again, but to keep doing it, I think after a while, people just get tired of it.
Yeah. And it kind of stinks too, because I think they were trying to pair her up with Jericho. Yeah, Jericho and Jesus. I'm gonna have my McFlurry moment now.
Yeah, can't be talking about strap-ons every week. So
right, that wasn't me. That was Tim.
That was me. I'm the one that mistaken
right.
strap-on. Yeah,
that's right. We scarred Tim.
That's right.
Yeah. Then Tim miraculously had a power bump after that. And I know through the miracles of editing, you all didn't get to hear that or see it or any of it. Yeah. It was pretty funny. Mongo and I were just sitting there waiting for Tim to say something, and he was like frozen, kind of like Riley grinning at the screen, and we're like, is he gonna say anything? And then he just disappeared. We're like, oh god, he quit.
Right.
But anyways, getting back to this,
little peek behind the curtain there. But yeah, it just, I know, like I said, I've read Jericho's book, and he did not like the storyline, and it's not because he didn't like Chyna. Like Roland said, Chyna broke down a lot of walls. I mean, she's one of the original women to help get that women's revolution started. And like we've talked about in the show before Vince decided to kind of like stop and start that revolution 100 times. And it just, she got the title off Jeff Jarrett, then through some shenanigans, they were the co-champions. It wasn't a good storyline, but I feel bad because Jericho and Chyna definitely gave it their all. And this was Bob Holly in limbo before he became Hardcore Holly. And it was a weird match, and I'm kind of glad that they kind of ended the storyline of this match. But like you said, really nothing to write home about. It was just kind of there.
No, and you saw later on when Eddie Guerrero and Chyna get together what it could be, and Jericho's not that person. Eddie Guerrero was. So like you can make stuff work, but I think in this case, like I said, it kind of run its course. So I'm glad that they didn't continue the co-champion thing, and that. Did you see when they Chyna and Chris Jericho were arguing about who's going to wear the belt, that Jericho called Dave Hebner Earl first when he came and took the belt, He came and said, I'll just take the belt to the ring. You don't have to worry about wearing it. And then he calls him Earl, and then he gets all the way to the door. He's like, I mean, Dave, come back. And I was like, oh, that was funny. I was like, that's Dave Hebner. But anyways, it goes to show you that, I mean, you can do something, but to just keep doing it pointlessly doesn't make sense. And like I said, Eddie Guerrero in China was gold. What they did was great. So, I mean, that led up to it. So, I mean, it kind of started the idea that something could happen there.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's about who you put together, because Eddie Guerrero, the Latina Heat gimmick, that's lightning in a bottle. Like, that was, one of the best things, and that was some of China's best work too. It is just hard. And like I said, I think it's just the chemistry, and China was very green here too, so I think that also didn't help as much, because she's still kind of learning her path. But I mean, there was a really cool, she did like a handspring, like DDT type of thing in the match that was pretty cool. So there were some cool spots in the match, but I think it could have been better. And I think it's a match to definitely kind of skip over, because it's not really the best of anyone in that particular match.
Yeah, I agree. Next up is the tag team match for the tag team championships. You have the New Age Outlaws, who are coming in as the champions. They're going to defend successfully against the Acolytes. Really quick match here, only 2 minutes and 39 seconds. There's an interference from X-Pac here, which leads to the win. But not much of a match to discuss here. Again, I wish this one could have went a little bit longer. These are two tag teams that can go. Especially have Ron Simmons in there. But not much to talk about here.
No, I mean, this was, I don't know if they thought they were short on time or if they wanted this to be, it felt weird. Like, it was just thrown together. Like, I know they were promoting it, but it just felt like they threw it together last minute. They were like, just go out there and kill 3 minutes. Like, it had no, I mean, other than leading up to the Rumble, when like JR and the King could say that, like, the Acolytes were pissed off because they lost earlier. Like, I mean, it felt really weird.
No, I agree. It felt rushed. Like, I didn't understand either. Like, the entrances were longer than the match itself. And there's a spot where the ref gets pulled out. It's sloppy. Like, the best way, it was the sloppiest match, I think, on the card. And I feel bad because there was 4 great competitors in the match. And like Roland said, go out and kill 3 minutes. Okay, well, we killed 3 of that just doing an entrance.
Well, and like I said, I think they felt like they were short for time because they knew these next 2 matches were going to cover about an hour and a half. So I think in their minds, they're like, oh boy, we don't have time. Should we even put them out there? And they're like, we'll just do a schmaz. Like, that's what it felt like to me.
I agree.
Yeah. Next up is a street fight for the WWF Championship. Triple H is the champion here. He's defending against Cactus Jack. This match was about 27 minutes long. This was a brutal street fight. They introduced the 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire here, which, JR was like shocked by. And it was just a brutal match, but it was really entertaining. This is probably my favorite match on the card. Really entertaining stuff. There's thumbtack spots in here. There's a wooden pallet spot in here. This was a pretty good street fight.
Well, and the wooden pallet was when Triple H had his calf impaled.
Yep.
During the match, a suplex on the pallet in the entranceway. But yeah, I mean, easily, I think this match also, we mentioned before that this was where the Hardys kind of started cementing their legacy. I think this is where Triple H started cementing his as the guy. I know he had the belt going in, but there was a lot of weird circumstances to get him the belt. And I think in this point, like Mongo said earlier about injuries and stuff, you don't have Stone Cold. So you have to create somebody that's believable as a guy that can kick some ass and be believable, kind of like a Stone Cold character. And I think doing that with Triple H and the way they did it, this match right here proved that he was not afraid to get his hands dirty. And like Tim said, it was probably easily the best match on the card. I don't even say probably, it was easily the best match on the card. I mean, not that the table match wasn't good, but it was shorter. This match told a great story. Like you said, you had the pallet spot, you had a handcuff spot. I mean, the 2 barbed wire the thingies. I don't know if anybody caught that, but when they stuck the barbed wire 2x4 under the table, the one that came back out was not the one that went under. For anybody and I'm sorry if I'm ruining people's, breaking the fourth wall, but the one that came back out was the fake one. Just thought I'd throw that out to everybody because it was wrapped different. It was tighter. You could tell that they swapped them, and that was how they swapped them. So that way when they did the face shots, nobody would get seriously hurt. They don't want somebody losing an eye. When you're a kid, you don't realize that. When you're a 34-year-old adult and watch it back, you're like, wow, they switched those. That's how they did that.
Yep.
No, yeah, I was gonna actually. It's funny. I had that written down too. I noticed they swapped out the barbed wire too, and I'm like, at first I was like, why is that a different barbed wire? And then, like you said, the face shots. Okay, that makes sense. Like Cactus already had lost an ear at this point from death matches. You know, Mick Foley's face is mangled at this point from all his career. This is. Let's not have him lose an eye too and have him be Pirate Mick Foley for his next gimmick. And
Pirate McFlurry.
There we go. That's full of barbed wire instead of M&Ms. But you know, it's still real to me. Damn it!
He doesn't bleed. He just like spews M&Ms and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this match that you guys have said. It was just great. I mean, I feel like they legit tore the house down, like every pun intended. Like the Spanish announce table got destroyed. Like this is back when I loved it because I used to watch these pay-per-views. I'm like, okay, when are they going to ruin the Spanish announce table? Because that was always my favorite spot waiting for. And then they ruined it. The palette that was gruesome. The color in this match was incredible. Like if you haven't seen a good hardcore match, this is one of the matches to watch. And like Roland said, this was great. Triple H got the rub here. He got this is what elevated. This is what started turning him to that cerebral assassin, you know, before his 2002 mega push. Like this was really the beginning of it. And I love Triple H. I'm a Triple H mark. And I watched this match again. I'm like, damn, he is still so good. Like going back and watching this match, like that was such a good match. They told such a great story. You're absolutely right.
Well, we had the cameo by The Rock too on that one spot where Mick Foley kind of lured him down the entranceway, and that's when he got unhandcuffed. And I mean, everything in this match was so well thought out and well done, and it just proves that if you have a great mind or two great minds between, you know, Mick and Triple H, you can have one hell of a match. And I think that's one of the things that they're missing now is they're not letting the guys do as much. And I know AEW is better about that because, you know, they kind of produce their own matches and stuff, so like they can pick their spots. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Sometimes you have too many high spots and whatnot. But like you can tell when guys are allowed to be creative and it's not someone telling them to do this and do that and do this and so, you know, that match proves, and it stands the test of time because of that. It's not forced. It's they went out there and they told a story. They knew what they wanted to do, and they pulled off all their spots seamlessly.
No, absolutely. I would agree with that. You know, when wrestlers can write the match together, work the match together, I don't have a problem with agents, coach, producers, whatever you want to call them. It's just you got to find the right producer that's willing to work with the talent and let the talent give the input instead of saying, no, I'm the producer. Damn it, this is what we're doing. You know, like one of my favorite producers that they don't talk about now is Road Dogg, because Road Dogg lets the wrestlers be the wrestlers, and he's helped. Like he actually worked a lot with Cesaro. You know, I know, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, and recently on SmackDown, he worked with Cesaro a little bit to help some of those matches. And when you get Daniel Bryan and Cesaro together, they put on a great match because they let them do their thing. So, like you said, we need to let wrestlers do that more, and this is a perfect example of why. Because two wrestlers who had amazing chemistry, who just I cringed in this match. I'm also 34 years old watching this match. I'm like, oh, and like that backdrop on the tacks. Oh, every time I see that visual of all those tacks in his body, it just like gives you the heebie-jeebies.
Well, and some of the chair shots too, because I mean, you don't see chair shots to the head anymore. So like, just I mean, I know it wasn't The Rock and Mankind, you know, it wasn't that level, but still, some of these chair shots, even in like the table match, like Tim said, there's some chair shots where you just go, oh, and you close one eye and you're like, oh, that had to, like, I mean, knowing what we know now about concussions and everything else, I mean, it's one of the things that has made it harder for some of these matches to be believable. And that's one of the things about WWE being PG now, is that if you have a steel cage match and you throw someone off the steel cage face first 12 times and they're not bleeding, what's the point?
Yeah,
you have to have, I mean, you have to have some discretion and make it somewhat believable. We know it's not 100% real, but like, if you're going to, like I said, if you're going to have a blow off and we're having a Hell in a Cell match and no one bleeds, it's like, well, what the hell is the point of that?
Right. Like, what's the point of the gimmick if you're not going to utilize it?
Yep.
And I'm not saying and I know you're not saying, oh, we want wrestlers hurt, but
no.
It's like when you watch a movie, you know, if you're watching a fight scene and the person's get punched in the face 100 times and they come out looking clean, you're like, no.
Well, and that's my point too, is that not everybody has to bleed every match. But like, if you're having a blow off match, like say it's the third match of this trilogy of whoever it is, say it's McIntyre and friggin' or Randy Orton. how can you have a match that's in a Hell in a Cell or in any cage environment like that and have a believable, hard fought match where guys are grinding their faces into the cages and nobody's bleeding? And like I said, I'm not saying everybody needs to bleed and I want blood all the time. But I mean, back then they let them do it. And that's what, like, you imagine if they had that match, that street fight, and no one bled.
Yeah.
Like, it would just be like, all right, cool. Welcome to the PG era. Like, oh, you hit him with a barbed wire thing in the face, but somehow he's not bleeding.
It would remind me a lot of the Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar street fight.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's hot garbage. That's exactly what it is. And it's unfortunate because some of these guys are so good that you're seeing that AEW is a prime example. Like, they do blood every now and again because they know when they need it. Plain and simple.
Right. I agree with you. We don't need Abdullah the Butcher, like scar your head up and have like disgusting, nasty scars on your head. But, I think if colors warranted, and I'm old school. I think color sometimes belongs in certain matches. There was a spot recently where Jericho got busted open the hard way on a pay-per-view last year, and then John Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, got busted open the hard way because they both, were beating the crap out of each other and they both took some nasty shots, but it was believable. And then in this match, both of them bled for obvious reasons. You have tags, barbed wire, pallet. It's like they went to Home Depot and just went, "Yep, that's how I felt like."
I'll take 3 of those and 2 of these. Yeah. You guys have any pallets out back you have that are empty? We'll take a couple of them. They had a hell of a match.
Absolutely. We close the show with the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Again, the stipulation here, whoever wins it gets a match at WrestleMania 16 or 2000, whatever you want to call it. We'll run down the list of competitors in this one. Once I get my notes flipped over here.
Well, it started off with D'Lo and Grandmaster Sexay.
Yes.
I like how Jerry Lawler's like, what poor schmuck drew number 2?
Damn it, it's my son.
I was like, that was good. Good stuff. R.I.P. Brian Christopher. But yeah, still, it was just funny. I noted that in my head. I was like, anyways, continue, Tim.
Then you have Mosh wearing this ridiculous like cones thing. I don't know what it was.
Well, and then the King was like, "Oh, you think he's trying to be like Mae Young?" Nope, those are too perky.
Commentary was on point during this match. That's what I miss about the earlier matches. Not to cut you off, Tim, is just the commentary of the match. Jerry the King. Oh, this is perfect, Jerry the King, where he's just throwing up these random ass comments like that, like what the hell.
I think every one of the 30 participants were his favorite at one point in the match.
yeah. The part where Rikishi and Viscera went at it. Whoever survives this is my winner, and then he gets limited. He goes, "Oh, he didn't have a chance."
So we have Mosh, then Christian's in there. Rikishi comes in here and eliminates a bunch of people. Scotty Duhati's next. There's a cool Too Cool moment where they do the dance, and then Rikishi just eliminates both of them.
I was gonna say he lasted like 30 seconds. It felt like. Pretty
much. And we should mention throughout the match too, you have multiple appearances by Kai and Tai and the Mean Street Posse.
I think Taka Michinoku's face is still implanted on the side of the mat where he went out the second time.
Yeah,
he fell hard.
It's funny when we were talking about doing this pay-per-view, off air in our group text. I was like, "Oh, it's the Taka Michinoku face break match," because that's like as bad as it is. The one spot I remember is just that dude broke his face. Like he broke his face. I don't think we saw him after this. I think this is
they even mentioned that too. That when Funaki came back out by himself the next time, they're like, "Oh, we're probably not going to see Taka because he's at the hospital." It's like, yeah.
Then just running down some more of the participants. We have Steve Blackman, Viscera, Big Boss Man, who actually was in there for quite a while. You have Test, the British Bulldog, In Jeans. You have Gangrel, Edge. The one surprise entrant is Bob Backlund. I don't know. I'm not a big Bob Backlund fan, so this really didn't do anything for me.
No,
it didn't do anything even back in 2000. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Then Chris Jericho, Crash Holly, China, Farouk, followed by Road Dogg, Al Snow, Val Venus, Prince Albert, Hardcore Holly. Then it picks up here. We have The Rock in at 24, Billy Gunn, The Big Show, then Bradshaw, Kane, The Godfather, and then X-Pac is number 30.
Yeah, there was a cool spot in the match where X-Pac got eliminated, but nobody saw it. So he came back in and got eliminated again. And the final four, it was kind of a little bit unpredictable because you still had the Big Show in there. And you had X-Pac and The Rock. Who was the other guy besides, was it Billy Gunn? Was he still in there? Was he one of the guys?
Yeah, because Billy Gunn had eliminated Road Dogg.
I'm trying to think. I think those are the last four, but I know going in, sometimes when you have like a final four, you have like a favorite that you think, but I mean, you also, like I said, you had the Big Show still in there. So you didn't know, who was going to be, and it whittled down to The Rock and the Big Show, which is how it should have been. And they told a heck of a story. I think that this Rumble might be a little bit underrated. There wasn't a ton going on in there, so I'm not going to say it was one of my favorites, but it also wasn't one of my worst. Put it that way. I've seen some worse. I've seen some better. The storyline of The Rock and the Big Show. There at one point, The Rock had interviewed. He said he had to worry about Crash Holly and Mosh.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty funny. But like I said, it definitely furthered the Big Show Rock angle. And it made it, like I said, that part made the Rumble at least mean something. But like I said, it was a lot of I'm not going to say dead space, but just a lot of, I don't know, meaningless spots in the Rumble that just kind of took away from it. It just had people that were there. And like you said, there was only one surprise guy, and that's kind of what I look forward to. Like I want to see, 2, 3, 4 surprise. Like, I mean, even though we had a feeling Edge was coming back last year, when he came out, the place went friggin' ape shit, and they should have. It's stuff like that you want to see.
Yeah, or even like the one-offs, like RVD coming back to a Rumble a few years ago and nobody expected him to come back, or Booker T coming out for it's like, just even if it's a one night only thing, it's fun. I agree with that. And Kane, we forgot to mention in the when he's in the Final Four, X-Pac, he's starting his feud with Kane, which still to this day never understand that feud, never will. I know we've talked about it on the show before. It was a weird ass feud, and he hit that like spinning heel kick, and like Roland said, he was out of the match. He shouldn't even been able to eliminate. So it seemed like the finish was planned out well, but it had some botches in it. Like Rock did hit first, but thankfully they were smart and they worked it into the storyline. But Rock's feet definitely hit first. I'm going to say it. Han shot first, and the Rock's feet hit first.
But they used that finish to set up your WrestleMania main event. But this is setting up to the McMahon in every corner.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania 2000 with Mick Foley, Triple H, The Rock, and the Big Show.
And that, like you said, not to cut you off, but that also was set up too by the following pay-per-view where Mick Foley gets retired.
Mm-hmm.
But then comes out. So, I mean, there was a lot of storylines that brought all that together. So, like I said, that's one nice thing about the end of the Rumble. At least it furthered something. If there was no story and they just had somebody win, I think it would have meant a lot less.
Yeah, I agree. And that storyline at No Way Out that you mentioned, the next pay-per-view, is a continuation of the Triple H Cactus Jack feud at the Hell in a Cell retirement match, which is actually another great match in this feud to go ahead and watch as well.
Yeah, when Mick Foley's ass broke the ring.
Next month it'll line up and we can do that one. We haven't done that one yet, have we? I don't think.
I don't think so.
We've done a lot of different shows, so but I don't remember doing it. But I mean, maybe maybe we're giving you a spoiler. Maybe it lines up.
Absolutely. Well, that is our rundown of Royal Rumble 2000. Definitely recommend watching the Triple H Cactus Jack match for this one. This was a, like you said, Roland, I don't think it was the best Royal Rumble match, but I don't think it was the worst either. I think it was a pretty good, solid, Royal Rumble match. And overall, I think it was a pretty decent pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we do this a lot, but I would say this is somewhere in like the 5.5, 6 range. It seems like a lot of ours fall between like 5.5 and 7.5. But I would say somewhere, maybe a 6 just because of how good the street fight was.
Yeah, I would agree. I give it a 6 because the Hardy Boy match, the Cactus Jack match, and then the Rumble was executed well. But, there's some sloppiness, but they were able to cover it up well, which that's all you ask for as a fan. Is if mistakes are going to happen, botches are going to happen. I mean, come on, Sabu has a career for a reason. Botches are going to happen. And I give it a 6 out of 10 too, just because there were some stinkers on the card, but it's not like some of the WCW ones where there's no saving grace. This is a solid pay-per-view. This was definitely a good way to enter the 2000s, unlike Starrcade 99. And I think it set up a lot of good, like you guys said, No Way Out, when Cactus Jack took the, spoiler, ass bump that broke the ring. You had some good storylines coming in. And I just want to point out, I wrote down my notes. Test lasted almost 30 minutes. Test. Like, holy crap. and Rikishi had, like, as Tim mentioned earlier, I think like 8 or 9 eliminations. It was definitely a surprise Rumble, and it was fun. I really enjoyed watching it again. I hadn't seen it in a long time. It was nice to see again because I love rewatching Royal Rumbles.
Real quick, we're running out of time. Next week is Royal Rumble 2011. That's the 40-man Royal Rumble. We'll be back next week at 5. Until then, I'm Tim Kurt.
I'm Roland Fearless.
And I'm Mongo.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.
I hope you're all having a nice day.